Jeremiah 29:11 states, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." I must first give honor to God for granting me his mercy and favor to receive and achieve this award. Along with the other honorees, I also thank President Rao and the other esteemed podium hosts, Dr. Heather Lucas, and the others who supported my nomination without complimentary comments and labor of love. And finally, I also thank my husband, Arthur Wright. He told me not to ask him to stand. My bedrock and love of my life, as well as my other family members here for their unfailing support over my past 22 years of employment at VCU. When I think of VCU, I think of family. Whether you're a student or a colleague, I consider you to be part of my family. I come from a family with 14 siblings. So believe you me, there are few interactions that I have had at VCU that have not encountered in my family. VCU has given me far more than just employment. Since elementary school, my dream was to be a chemist. I never met or knew a professional chemist, but when I found out that my 4th grade science teacher, Mrs. Smith, whom I held in high esteem, had a degree in chemistry, I decided I wanted to be that. And with God's help, nothing and no one would stand in my way. As I stand before you, I reflect back 44 years ago, when I was one of the 3 11th graders, who I believe was in the inaugural year of the VCU Advanced Scholars Program, attended VCU to take college trigonometry. I was a product of busing in the city of Richmond in the 70s, and because of that, and I'm so grateful for that, I came to realize that despite having the most devoted teachers in my Richmond East End schools, I was behind my student peers in math and science in the other school systems. And VCU gave me the opportunity to make up that difference. I remember my many professors at VCU, especially my chemistry professors and math professors, and I won't call their names for fear of forgetting any one of them, but I will say I'm also grateful to my mentor, Dr. Fred Hawkridge, who is also a former dean of the college, who not only taught me, but he gave me the confidence that I sought and that I needed. For the one thing that I feared was to have an educational background that was deficient and would not adequately prepare me for my future goals. However, that was an unrealized fear, as I've come to be proud and appreciate the stellar education that my BS and master's degrees in chemistry gave me. My VCU family provided me that. Finally, when I think back on the thousands of students with whom I have had an opportunity to teach, lead, or influence, I feel especially blessed to also consider them to have been members of my family. You see, I had a blended family who did not all look like me or act like me, and I view my students in that same light. I see the same resolve in many of them that I had as a young student. Many have the same goals to pursue careers that are not held by members of their immediate household. Students who work multiple jobs for long, numerous hours while also holding full-time academic schedules. One last story I'm reminded of, back in the 70s when I was taking Calc 3 at 8 a.m. in the morning, I fell asleep during my final exam. Having worked on average about 50 to 60 hours per week, and I just left work at 4 a.m. that morning, and I was totally exhausted. But Dr. Morris, and I still remember him now, quietly woke me up, little ado, and said, "I could finish. You still have enough time, Charlene, to finish your exam." This memory allowed me to provide the same grace to Carolina Perez, who was a former student in my Summer Bridge Acceleration class, and she aspired to be a physician. When she became a student in my Chemistry 102 section about 5 years ago, I learned that she also worked many hours. And when she fell asleep during her final exam, it was very easy for me to wake her up, allow her to get a breath of fresh air, and tell her there's still time for you to finish your exam. And sadly, when her life was cut short in a car accident, shortly thereafter, I grieved as if she were my own. I considered her to be a member of my family, and she will always live in my heart as touching her life forever changed my own. In closing, I will apologize in advance to any whose toes I may step on as I fight for my students, champion my colleagues, or even elicit complaints from some of my students who might feel that I expect too much of them. When they look back in time and attempt to pursue their careers, I would like them to appreciate that I tried to impart to them a quality educational experience that was an outcome of my desire to give back to them a piece of what VCU has given to me. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Awesome, Miss Charlene. Awesome. Yes, 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 yes. You were awesome, girl. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yes.
The winner of the 2017 Presidential Award for Community Multicultural Enrichment staff member is Austin Higgs. Austin is the Operations Coordinator for Equity and Access Services, and she was nominated for this honor by Crawley, Assistant Director in the Office of Events and Special Programs, Division of University Relations. So I'd ask Mr. Boone to please come and share with you his comments regarding Austin's nomination.
So I am convinced that this is the Oscars of diversity and inclusion because you all were amazing. So I am just honored and humbled to be here today. Since becoming a staff member in 2013, Austin has served in many, and I mean many roles, to ensure that VCU is a great place to learn and work for all. Whether as co-chair of Equality VCU, member of the LGBTQ Task Force, senator in the VCU Staff Senate, where are you all? Member of the Career Development Committee of the HR Redesign Project, facilitator with the Building Inclusive Communities Program, chair of the Equity and Inclusion Leadership Symposium, Inclusive Excellence Fellow, operations coordinator in the Office of Equity and Access Services, or all-around advocate. Austin has served as a champion for diversity and inclusion. Sonia Makosha, president of the VCU Staff Senate, wrote, Austin demonstrates every day his support of underrepresented communities and works passionately towards raising the bar of understanding for the equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts within VCU. Asia Higgs, assistant in TRIO Student Support Services, shared, Austin lives and breathes diversity of all calibers. With his fluent ability to speak on sensitive issues to any audience, Austin's presence could make the most intolerant person leave the conversation with a more open mind and understanding. And Paris Prince, senior LGBTQ equity officer, noted Austin is a familiar force engaged in critical progress for diversity and inclusion across VCU and Richmond, leading critical efforts to help bring forward the voice of those marginalized. We at VCU are lucky to have Austin, and we really, really are. On a personal note, as someone who also stands at the intersection of identities, I thank you for your courage, and I thank you for showing me what it means to be the fruit of the seeds planted by those who have come before us. Thank you.